The third installment of the Conjuring series is now out with The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. It's playing both in theaters and on HBO Max. Does this one continue the creepy vibes of its predecessors? Based on a chilling true story, paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren risked their lives to prove the innocence of the accused and the existence of evil forces in the first U.S. trial where demonic possession is being used as a legal defense. After an exorcism with a seemingly possessed young boy, a young man is accused of murder and he claims that he was possessed by the same demon as the young boy, and that's what caused him to commit the crime. Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga are back as Ed and Lorraine Warren, and I really liked the first Conjuring movie, and the second one certainly had a creep factor to it, so I was really excited to check this one out. Now, while James Wan helped with the story for this movie, he no longer sat in the director's chair as he did for the previous two films. This time the director is Michael Chaves, and really had I known that going in, I may have been slightly less excited to watch this because Chaves' last movie was The Curse of La Llorona, and that one is kind of a stinker. The thing I really like about the Conjuring movies, and the same goes for this one, is the Warrens. Wilson and Farmiga have created great characters who are both strong and confident without being arrogant, and they're also very charismatic and sympathetic. The relationship is also something that I really enjoy watching. They're that spirit-fighting duo, and they work really well together. Now, this movie does have some chills to it and some freaky imagery at times, but the story feels like it has veered away from that straight possession type storyline that the first two contained. I don't think that's bad in and of itself, but the way that it's executed here, it just wasn't as thrilling. The Warrens are really focused on the mystery of why the young man did what he did, and then they're out to prove, if they can, that demonic possession is real and it should be able to be used as a defense. And so while they search for the evidence they need, we're taken on that journey with them, which then intermittently includes supernatural or occult plot points. There are some great moments where Farmiga uses her gifts to see what's hidden from our world, and one of those was shown in the trailer. That scene with the Warrens in the forest, it's exciting and even quite disturbing at times, especially the parts that weren't shown in the trailer. And I would have loved for that energy to be carried throughout the whole movie. There are other scenes that use the dark and shadows well, some to play tricks on our eyes, and others to show some just creepy imagery. I like that there's an urgency to this story. The Warrens are up against a clock to get the evidence for the court, and so that pressure, it plays out well. Unfortunately, what this causes at times, though, is a rushed feeling. Some scenes jump back and forth, and they feel a little bit jolted as we transition. Something that bothered me a little bit too is that we don't have a lot of development on the character of Arnie. He's the young man who's accused of the crime. We get the sense that he's a nice and caring guy, but I never really felt for him. It's not like I wanted bad things to happen to him, but I also wasn't on the edge of my seat nearly in tears because he was being tormented by some evil force. I just didn't have the emotional investment in him, and if I did, I think the story overall would have been more impactful for me. So there are times where there is some creepy and disturbing imagery. I gotta give the director kudos for not putting a jump scare in a particular scene that looked like it was so wildly obvious that one would be present. And I appreciated his restraint. And honestly, I don't remember really any jump scares in the movie. I mean, yeah, there are moments where a character would turn around and right in front of them is something horrifying. I don't remember any part where we have that obvious pause that's capped by some face or hand or whatever just popping out of the dark or out of some hole. The movie comes in at just under 2 hours, and there were moments that felt a little long to me. And I know that's almost contradictory to what I said before about the scenes feeling rushed, but really both are true. I mean, some scenes felt rushed, while the movie as a whole just felt a tad too long. And I think a lot of that feeling of too long comes from the unevenness of the suspense, chills, or even mystery. I mean, they would build and then they'd stall. They'd pick up again and then they'd stall again. And had everything continuously built, I think it not only would have felt less like time was dragging, but also would have increased the creepy factor a lot. I think if you're a fan of this franchise, you'll still enjoy this third entry a lot. I mean, there are some great moments of creepiness, and the two leads still maintain a compelling relationship that is both enjoyable and believable. Now, I would have loved if the story would have focused more on the possession angle, but the mystery that was included was intriguing. And there are some creepy elements, but I just don't feel that I was freaked out nearly as much as I was with the previous two Conjuring movies. There's no sex, maybe some very brief nudity, a bunch of profanity, and some very brutal violence. I give The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, 3 out of 5 couches. So are you a fan of the Conjuring universe? Do you have a favorite entry in the franchise? I'd love to know what it is in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.